welcome to the Generation M podcast. Today we are in Michigan. This is Richland, Michigan, yeah?
Technically, yeah. And we don't even know. Hickory Corner is Richland somewhere. Yeah, it's small enough where no one even knows.
Well, Victor Martinez is not here today, but we have a replacement. New host.
Victor Harris.
Victor Harris. Justin Harris. What's going on, man?
Not much. Glad to be here.
So for those who don't know, Justin is an elite coach, nutritionist, entrepreneur, and now you became a coach for Brendan Curry.
Yeah, we just started working together. Well, it's been about almost a month now, but yeah, we're prepping him for the Arnold. Yeah,
That's big.
big. Oh, huge. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get much bigger. I mean, Mr. Olympia, that's as big as it gets.
So Justin, I mean, obviously, you've been in this business for quite some time. We just did an interview before actually, and you had quite experience on it.
Yeah, I've been coaching since before they were coaches. We didn't even call it that. I didn't even have a name for it. It was.
Not everybody's a guru, right? Everybody basically.
Yeah, it's changed so much over the years. Yeah.
Well, in the little time that I've known Justin, I've learned more about compounds, nutrition than anybody in the industry personally.
So now maybe you can be a coach. You can
experience.
Put it up. Online coach, get your link tree together.
So let me tell you, Justin is a guy who knows his compounds, really has a tremendous educational background. Not only is he a coach, he knows all about nutrition, training, a former powerlifting champion, bodybuilder, just to name a few.
And also an engineer. You got an engineering degree.
Well, a physics degree, but I worked as an engineer for 5 years. Yeah, I've had a weird.
You've done so much stuff, man.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
And you've launched, of course, Troponin Nutrition.
Supplements.
Yeah. And I recently tried ATP. ATP is this revolutionary, brand new pre-workout enhancer.
Yeah,
right?
Energy focus, anything. Yeah.
We've tried a lot of pre-workouts, and I have to say I didn't get any type of anxiety, jitters, or anything, and I've incredible focus. So I really love the product. But we're here because there's a lot going on, of course, with you and obviously the athletes that you're working with. Brandon Curry, tremendous athlete that we've worked with. We're very, very fond of.
He's a really cool guy.
He's a great guy. He's a Mr. Olympia, right? He won in 2020, right? 2020, I think.
It was, it would be 4 years ago. Yeah.
So he's been with the top coaches in the business, right? And he's been in Kuwait for quite some time. Yeah. Abdullah, I think, was his coach, right? And they had a breakup or something like this. So how did it come about, this whole?
Well, he just reached out to me, and
Were you friends before?
No, but I'm glad because I don't get to check my Instagram DMs that often. He just reached out, and he said, he wanted to do it last year because, like I said, his son's a great football player. He's got 2 offers already as a freshman, got a family. He didn't want to go to Kuwait again. He didn't want to go over there. He didn't want to spend 3 months away from his family. But last year it was kind of too rushed, so he almost reached out, but it was too close. So he just went with one he knew. This year he had more time, so he reached out ahead of schedule. Asked if I had room for him. I said, let me check. Of course you have room for Mr. Olympia. He said, yeah, absolutely. And honestly, every coach has a kind of a list of guys that they would love to work with. Guys that they know can look amazing when they nail it, but haven't nailed it every time. And because I didn't know Brandon, but I knew when his wife was competing and when he came up was kind of when I was leaving the sport. So we crossed a little bit on the amateur level, and he's just been someone I wanted to work with for years. So when I saw that, it's the coaching gods shined down on me because he was one of my top 3 all-time guys that I would love to work with. Oh yeah, for sure. Wow. Yeah, because when he's on, he's incredible, and when he's off, he's he's great, but he's not. And so as a coach, it's man, I want to I don't know.
Do you feel pressure because he won before?
Yeah, I'm trying not to think about that, but absolutely, yeah. I mean, like I was saying earlier, at the end of the day, if you know what you're doing, nothing is a mystery. It doesn't mean you're going to nail it every time, but there's nothing that will happen during the fat loss period or during the peaking period that I won't know how to treat. Whether or not we nail it so it all comes together perfectly on stage at the right time, you can't guarantee it, but there's nothing, there's no guesswork. Whatever happens, I know how to handle it.
So what's the strategy? Because some people say he's on decline, he's getting older, his legs are looking. I'm just saying what people are saying.
No, they're
really going after him.
You're not wrong to say that at his age. There is an age period. You're not gonna. you're not gonna have. If you're 50, there's nothing you can do, and he is on that. He's probably somewhere in the bell curve where it's tipping over, and so we need to nail everything. But I think he came to me fresh. We're recomping currently, which I think at his age and everything is, if he was a guy he came to me at 320 pounds, huge, and I could tell he's been pushing everything already, then I'd be like, oh man, this is rough. Where do we go from here? But he came to me fresh. I don't want to say like doses or anything, but he came. We're recomping and he's fresh, and so he's up in weight and leaner each week already.
I mean, his genetics are incredible. I know he has. I mean, of course, his kids. Shout out to Brandy as well, and the kids. I mean, they all have incredible genetics.
Oh man, can you imagine that son? Like that kid hit the genetic lottery as far as.
So we're big fans of Brandon. We've seen what he can do, and we've seen what he loves to do. He loves to be a bodybuilder, and he's a great professional. So. Congratulations, and I really hope he does really well with you. Together.
What's the strategy? What are you trying to do to him differently?
Well, I think we're going to work well because I think on it left to his own devices. I don't want to say he'll slack or anything, but I think like there's one path he'll take where if he goes with another coach and they hammer and force everything, I think he can be on point. But I think for what I get the feeling is like he wants to know what to do, but he doesn't want to be told. You don't want to be like. He's not a fifth grader. He doesn't want to have a ruler slapped across his wrist. And I work great with that because I know what is there's emotional things and non-emotional things. Like I was saying earlier, the diet is a there's no debate. The best diet is the best diet.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you like it or not. There's no emotion involved. Training's different because I can tell you to do this workout. I know this is the best workout, but if you hate it, you're not going to get the most out of it. Where if you say, look, coach, I know you like that, but I like to do this. And you tell me you're so excited to do legs on this workout that you can't sleep the night before. Then a lot of coaches will say, doesn't matter, you do this. Or same with cardio. I do a bodybuilding version of HIIT, high intensity interval that we started out with. And he just said, he's like, I'm struggling with this. And so I'll say, well, we'll switch to this. And I know how to work with that. And so I think it'll work well in that the emotional things where this might be the best, but this is what he wants to do, so he's going to get more out of it. I will allow that. And then the non-emotional things where there's no debate, we have to do this or it doesn't work, then I'll force that. And so I think it's going to be a good combo.
You guys doing the Arnold's about 3 months away at this point?
Yeah, 10 weeks right now. Yeah, 10 weeks almost to the day. Yeah.
So Samson is going to be doing the show.
Yeah. Well, I got a baton. I'm going to carry. Tanya Harding.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's doing the Arnold.
Yeah, everybody's coming back to the Arnold.
Oh, it's a big one this year.
Except Hottie. But this is the first time we were talking about this earlier. This is the first time in I think over 10 years since Ronnie, right? That you have a Mr. Olympia competing at the Arnold.
For a long time.
So that'll be interesting for fans and a lot of people coming out to support. I mean, a lot of great,
Yeah, it's great for the sport. I don't know if it's great for Samson. At his size, 2 shows a year is a lot. I mean, Ronnie killed it at the Arnold, but what happened at the Olympia the next year?
He got really sick, right? That was the year.
Yeah, he almost died. Yeah, and I mean it's tough. You're a 198-pound guy, you can peak 10 times a year. 240-pound guy, you can peak 5 times a year. 320-pound guy, that's tough. Yeah.
Did you like the Olympia this year?
Yeah. I was there. I was at the Expo, so I didn't get to see too much of it. But yeah, it was. I wish Derek was more on point, Lunsford. Because I love his physique when he nails it. And I think he's still obviously learning how to be an open bodybuilder.
That's a good point.
It's a different approach because at 212, you just starve, die, cut weight, make weight, great, eat and fill out as best you can. Now he's not doing that. It should be easier, but it's really not. It's harder physically to make weight, but it's easier in that I got one goal: make the weight. Then after that, I have this many hours to eat. There's it's not much you can vary. Where peaking open, you don't have to make weight. How do I know I'm lean enough? I don't have to make a certain weight. What if I used to compete at 212? What if I think I'm in shape at 240? Am I really in shape?
Which gurus or coaches do you respect in the game?
He doesn't coach much anymore, but Dr. Scott Stevenson was very good. I don't know if he coaches at all anymore, but Lane Norton, he's also a doctor. Those 2 guys are 2 guys that, if I talk nutrition, I just talk. When I'm talking to those 2 guys, my brain's going, verify that, do I absolutely know this or am I just saying this? Those guys, because they know their stuff. as far as like peaking, Chad Nichols doesn't do it much anymore, and he was hit or miss. But it was either a 500-foot home run or a ugly strikeout, and I kind of respect the balls to do that with clients, because that's hard as a coach when it's like we're swinging for the fences, Milos knows this.
He got a lot of bad publicity, Chad Nichols, right? Some people really said some things.
Well, he used a mercurial diuretic that was very very renal toxic. It's mercurial diuretic. If you remember, his guys would get the stomach flu a lot.
Yeah,
well, it's also a laxative. The mercurial diuretic is a strong laxative, an incredibly strong diuretic, but it's also really hard on the kidneys.
Wow, he was using that allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, there's only so many compounds. Like from a chemical standpoint, it's not really too strong a detective work to figure out what it was, because it was not produced anymore. Mercurial diuretic stopped being produced somewhere in the 60s or 70s.
It's dangerous.
That's why, because it has basically 3 actions. You can use it as a laxative, you can use it as a diuretic, or you can use it as a kidney destroyer.
Which is why you have some old school bodybuilders with some kidney problems.
A lot, yeah. And it's multiple reasons. It's guys didn't used to check their blood pressure. No one got their blood work. The sport's really changed in that.
Can you get away with being a pro bodybuilder these days and peaking without diuretics at all?
Yeah. If you're look at a perfect example, and I think that Ronnie might have remember Battle for the Unbelievable, Ronnie's video. He was almost 6 weeks out. That dude could have stepped on stage. When you're shredded, you don't need, because fat is watery. When there's no fat on the body, there's not much water in the body. So because the thing is with drying out, you're not just trying to, you try to dry out to make weight. Like if you've ever seen an MMA fighter or a boxer, when their eyes are sunk in, that's dried out where there's just all the water out of your body. Peaking for our sport is different, is we want no water under the skin. We want as much water in the muscle as possible. That's being full, guys.
Right. We seen Chris Bumstead. His eyes tend to get really big. You see his eyes sucked in when he's like ready to go.
Yeah, and you can, if you have someone drinking 8 liters of water a day, that's almost 17 pounds of fluid. So if they're used to peeing out 8 liters of water a day, you breathe, you lose sweat, but you remove out that water. If you only have them drink 1 liter a day, then that's like roughly 15 pounds a day. So you can lose 15 pounds in a day without a diuretic, just from water manipulation.
Yeah, I see myself losing at least 6-7 pounds just from doing my water fast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's harder, but it's really not. If you're truly in shape, there's a lot of cases where a diuretic can make you worse, because diuretics really work through sodium excretion.
Right.
And sodium is what makes you look hard, actually. Sodium is like an androgen. So much so that like aldactone, which works through aldosterone, which is sodium manipulation, they give it to females for hormone balance for acne. It can cause gyno in men, actually. And so sodium actually gives a hard androgen look.
Can too much sodium cause gyno?
No, the opposite.
Oh, it's the opposite.
Yeah, and so
not enough sodium can cause gyno.
Yeah, and so sodium makes you look hard. The problem is sodium attracts water, so it's a fine line. But like that grainy look people talk about, it's actually probably due to higher sodium, because that graininess is really what causes that like kind of.
Who do you think had the best graininess as body?
Branch won.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, and so if you look,
and we seen Branch competing. I mean, back in 2000, I would say 2013, 12, around there, we saw how grainy he looked.
You know what's awesome? I love you said that, because it's the best example. Because if you look at any of his photos, if you look at his lower back, and I'm not saying Branch wasn't in shape. Branch was always in shape. There's one thing I could do, worked hard, and he was blue collar, always in shape. But if you look at some rear double biceps and look at his lower back, you'll see he's not bone dry. There's water there. So why does he look grainy? Because he was really good at sodium and water balance. So rather than when you get so depleted, and there's not as much blood or water in the body, there's not as much blood.
Right.
And so the first place that goes is the microvasculature, the real small blood vessels near the surface of the skin. And you'll see when guys are like that, they have like a smooth, glossy, almost like a sheen, like a gloss on their skin. It's just perfectly smooth. Branch had all that microvasculature, which means he had enough water in his body to have that, but not so much that he was watery. And then, like I said, if you even look, you'll see he'll have striated glutes, but if you look at his lower back, you'll be like, yeah, there is a drop of water there. So he looked so hard because of that. Now, if he pulled that extra water, he would have lost all that gradiness. Yeah.
Have you heard the news just recently that IBB Pro announced a new fit model division?
Did they?
A fit model division. So this is like
Fully clothed, probably business suit.
Well, this is for females, I think. I think this is a step below bikini.
Yeah, and see, it's because everything drifts. You remember there was female bodybuilding.
Oh yeah.
So then they did fitness, and fitness turned into, if you weren't a gymnast, you couldn't do fitness. And then they added figure. What happened? They didn't want, the female bodybuilding was getting too big, so they added physique, right?
Right.
And so then you have, figure and bikini. But how do you judge a show? They don't want you bone dry, but if you have 20 girls, they're all pretty good, and one girl's just a tiny bit harder and more muscular, but not too hard yet, but still right on the cusp, she wins. And so the next year, every girl's at that cusp, and then one girl's slightly harder, and you're like, God, is she too hard? But she looks really good. And so it drifts to where figure is now where physique was at the start.
Exactly. So every year they get sort of more muscular. Every division gets more muscular.
And so now bikini is where figure used to be, and so they just keep drifting. And physique is where bodybuilding used to be.
That's a good point. So it's like they're gonna just keep bringing more divisions, I think.
Yeah, it's smart from a business standpoint, but it's hard it's really hard as a coach because
as a viewer too.
Yeah.
But I mean, as a coach, what would
I'll give an example. If I have a girl competing at the Kalamazoo Classic, she wants to do bikini and wellness, and she looks great, she might win both. Now you go to the national level, the wellness girls are 185, the bikini girls are 105. That girl but the local level, they're totally different looks. And even worse, if you bring a figure girl at the local level looking like what turns pro as a figure or competes, they'll be like, you're too hard.
I see.
Yeah, so that figure girl needs to qualify in physique, and then at the next level, because figure at that next level is what physique is.
Which is why you probably have coaches that specialize for certain divisions, right? Because at the end of the day, is if you're at the Olympia, let's say, or the Arnold, and you're coaching different divisions, and all of a sudden you have this new division, new fit model, you're essentially waiting. I mean, you have to coach so many different divisions, and then now you have to wait hours for Brandon Curry to come on stage.
Yeah, oh my God. The Olympia is like this year we were there till like midnight, I think.
Yeah. Of 2 days later, they need to refine it because it's hard as a coach, as an athlete, because you have to guess. If you're, like they say, final starts at this time, but if you're super heavy male body, you're not starting at that time. So if you're supposed to be at 5, when do you go to the venue? If you don't want to go at 9, because what if the show runs quick? But you're probably not getting on until midnight.
Jay Cutler, I think, was complaining about that, and they made this whole announcement saying that, hey, show up like much later than they tell you what to show up.
Yeah.
But Tyler Mannion said the reason why they're doing this new division is to have more inclusivity, basically, and hopefully bring in more mainstream sponsors to the sport.
Yeah, I mean it's more money, but that's a very PR way of saying that. I mean, it is, yeah. Yeah, I mean, need a bigger reach. Bodybuilding. Well, the fitness industry is huge right now. Think of where it was like 20, 30 years ago. Hardly it was like no one even thought about bodybuilding. Supplements were a fringe thing, where now it's like ubiquitous. Everybody goes to the gym, everybody works out, everyone's getting an infrared sauna now.
And this is global, not just the US.
Yeah, and so they'd be dumb not to, not to take advantage. Not even take advantage. They'd be dumb not to ride that wave,
Well, I mean, speaking of nutrition and fitness, I mean, right now there's a revolution happening with supplements, right? Supplementations. There's a lot of supplement companies out there that are selling pre-workouts, protein, energy drinks, recovery products. What are some of the products from your perspective that you think are revolutionary, that are changing the game, and that will essentially create a lot of positive change?
It's tough because the heyday of the gray market, go on e-molecules, your Patrick Arnold coming out with, that was the late 90s, early 2000s. They really cracked down. And then they cracked down again, and I think it was 2008 where they changed the manufacturing guidelines for what in it. So, those days where you could take a steroid, add a hydroxyl group to it, and put it as a pro steroid or pro hormone. Those are long gone. So it's harder. Like I think our product in ATP, the 4-DMA 7,8 dihydroxyflavone, I think is by far what the most revolutionary currently. I think I hate to say both our products, but this is the absolute truth, and I think the research backs it. Our Suppressor Max, where we add the sodium caprate to the berberine, which by research is shown to be like 22.5% better than berberine at improving blood glucose levels, which actually makes it potentially better than metformin at 750 to 1,000 milligrams a day. So those, it's hard because, like you can't come up with a DMAA anymore. All the amphetamine derivatives are blocked.
Right.
Even things like, was it CMEX, which is a nootropic,
This is nootropic too, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And this is what's the active ingredient in here?
The main one is it's a lot 4-DMA-7,8 hydroxyflavone. And that 4-DMA is like kind of the amphetamine version. That's what really.
And there's non-prescription, obviously.
Currently.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'll be honest. I've never taken Adderall in my entire life. But I can tell you, I think this is by far, when I tried it, it was by far the best mood enhancer and energy drink.
Focus, energy. Right?
We're calling it Natty Addy. Yeah, it is. It's a combination. It's focus, energy. We're treating it as an energy product, but the real benefit in that ingredient, it's being researched clinically as an antidepressant, as a nootropic, as like a ADHD replacement, and then also as an anti-obesity drug, which is really interesting because these are all they studied it as a nootropic. And the first batch was everyone's trying it and everyone's reporting an improved sense of well-being. And so then they were like, okay, well, let's view it, that. But then secondary to that, so then they're looking to it as an antidepressant because traditional antidepressants aren't any better than placebo. And even whether or not it's working or not, the effects take time to build up, where this is dose one, you feel better.
What made you want to create this product? And number two, the next question is, is this product for a normal consumer as opposed to, like, let's say an athlete, amateur athlete? It can be a normal person. I'm not a competitor, obviously. So there's a lot of guys on Wall Street now that you hear taking that.
That's the key. That really, I mean, we're a bodybuilding company, so that's our key market. But those type of people are who would benefit from it the most. Right. It's really, if you've ever bought an energy drink, this is a better version. If you've ever drank coffee, this is a better version. Now, pre-workouts, we're going to work on a pre-workout that includes it. So this doesn't have like pump agents, although it kind of does because our effervescent action uses sodium bicarbonate, which is great for a pump. It's an antacid, also good for your stomach, but it's not the traditional pre-workout. But if you need to study, if you need energy, if you're on a diet and you need because it's being studied for anti-obesity because that sense of well-being, they're finding allows you to tolerate the discomfort of a low calorie.
Well, and you have guys like Victor. Victor has preached on the podcast that he doesn't really take energy drinks. Yeah. He doesn't consume energy drinks. He consumes his caffeine.
Only coffee.
And I can see why this would be a great.
Yeah, and there's no gut rot, like the opposite even, because that sodium bicarbonate, they're antacids. Right. So it actually calms you. You drink like a Monster, and it's like, okay, I got some energy, but my stomach's on fire.
Yeah, and I've gotten a lot of indigestion from pre-workouts.
Yeah, and you won't. This is actually the opposite.
You think this is going to get banned eventually?
I wouldn't say like banned. It's going to be
prescription.
Yeah, because there's money in it because it works. Yeah, and the research is currently active, so it's a ticking time bomb. Clinical research takes time. Unless you're a vaccine, that's the only thing they can shove through without testing. This one, but the testing is incredibly promising. If we can get 3 years out of it, I'll be happy.
Wow, that's amazing. And then after that, people are going to be able to get it at pharmacies, basically. Right?
Pretty much, yeah. And there'll be some period of time, like when when anything's banned, they don't force you to stop selling it. So whatever on the shelves. So we might get a 4th year out of it.
What else do you think is going to get banned on the market soon? Like, out of the good stuff that's currently, available
or legal, right?
Illegal. Yeah. What's going to get banned?
There's not much. The only reason berberine is still like legal is because you have to take it every 2 hours.
What is that for?
Blood glucose, like improved insulin sensitivity, carbohydrate metabolism. It's great. Everyone should be on berberine because metformin works through cyclic AMP. Which is great, but that's actually like counter to hypertrophy. It works against muscle growth. Now, if you're on PEDs, I always use the analogy. It's like adding throwing a deck chair off the Titanic and saying it weighs less now. It does, but it doesn't. And so so metformin doesn't really slow muscle growth if you're on PEDs. But berberine works through a cascade reaction with IGF-1 actually. IGF-1 is more insulinogenic than actually insulin.
IGF-1 is very dangerous, though, right?
Well, the body produces it. It's not
the one you inject them.
Yeah, if you're it's really not dangerous. It can cause things people don't realize. It can cause gyno, but yeah, and you can get hypo. Yeah, but and the danger is that it's so expensive to produce. There's only really Increlex that's probably real. All that IGF people are getting is probably not IGF.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to, obviously, when they do these testing, these trials, is to find side effects, right? And that's how they defend why they should be legalized or illegal, so to speak, right, or unapproved. So now you're hearing about GLD and all these like Ozempic drugs causing erectile dysfunction.
What do you think about Ozempic?
What are your thoughts on that? And
I think Ozempic is so crude. There's going to be better. There already is. Like retatrutide is better. Ozempic, Jardiance. I just had a client's dad die. He's on Jardiance, and it caused so much upset. I'm trying to think exactly what happened.
the GLD.
No, it threw up and tore his esophagus. I mean, it's terrible.
It's a weight loss drug also?
It's similar. It's a variation of it that's more directly focused on. It's less appetite. But like you see these Ozempic people, and you ask them, and they're like, they feel, I'm so tired. I feel terrible. It's like, well, stop taking it. But I lost weight.
Right, and they're nauseous all the time.
Yeah.
When it works, I mean, they lose a lot of weight.
Yeah. And
Not healthy.
No,
I'm
yeah,
not saying
but
it's healthy. I'm just
like
saying.
I understand because like I said, I come from an overweight family. I understand the struggle, but yeah, it's just I think there's there's clear and obvious intriguing research in GLP, and I think retatrutide is a pretty solid. It seems like a pretty solid product, but you can just look at the chemical really like Ozempic and be like, there's going to be some side effects to this.
Right.
Victor told me a story about this guy who's on Ozempic and he lost a lot of weight, muscle and fat, obviously, but he loves to drink alcohol. But he still drink it, and it gives him terrible heartburn.
Yeah,
but he still likes to drink.
Then you get DKA. I'm sorry, that's what actually killed him. I'm sorry. Jardiance can cause DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis. Even worse, it causes this weird form of acidosis where your blood sugar isn't high, so it's really hard to detect until you basically are dying.
Wow.
Yeah, this guy died from DKA.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, God, it's like amazing. They'll ban this eventually, and you got that going on, and it's illegal
because it's prescribed. That's the only difference.
Oh man, well, yeah, because I wish I had the kind of money farm companies did.
So it's also there's a lot of liver issues, right, that come about.
Yeah,
it's
Ozempic in particular. Ozempic and Jardiance, I have a personal beef against because I try these things. I want personal experience.
Ozempic?
I haven't tried that. I did try retatrutide. My appetite's pretty powerful. It powered through it. I noticed a little bit. I only took it like just to try it. I think I did 2 milligrams. The next week I did 4, and it was I got an idea. 4 I could notice. I tried Jardiance for I guess 3 days, but by the 3rd day it was the worst experience of my life. I was like suicidal. It was like I had like depression. Yeah, and I had never been so tired in my life. I was trying to explain to my wife. I couldn't even explain. I couldn't take 2 steps without going hypoglycemic, and I just felt miserable. I say I tried for 3 days, but it's 2.5 because by the end of the 2.5 day, I was like, please get out.
Just let it run out.
I was just trying it because I don't like because clients will use these without a doctor's. So I want to have more than just a molecular understanding. I want to say, so like the Jardiance, like maybe I looked at the molecule and I was like, yeah, I think it could be good for you. Your blood sugar is high, you got kidney problems, this will be great. But now knowing like these things, I'll be like, you can try it, but you're going to want to kill yourself by day 2. And actually, this guy did die.
And then, do you recommend? I think there's a lot of drugs out there, a lot of supplements as well. What would you say is the number 1 miracle drug for men over 40? Right. I can say, and I can guess, even though I never tried it, HGH. Right?
Yeah. Are we going like anything? If you're over 40, true TRT is a life changer. You'll have you guys like talking about my sleep. You don't need to sleep. You're 19 or 20 again. Your testosterone levels at the peak upper limit of normal, like true TRT, not bodybuilder T, where you're maintaining stable blood testosterone levels around 1,000, maybe to 1,200. And dips down to like right at the peak. You feel like you did when you're 20. You feel amazing, more so than GH. I think everyone says GH, and I think GH, people say it because it costs so much.
Right.
People like, you spend that much, you convince yourself you feel great. But true TRT is an absolute life changer. Everyone should be on TRT, a proper berberine product. And I say, I get to say, like, the problem with berberine, the reason it's not prescription, you got to take it every 2 hours. Ours with the, I don't have it up there, I don't know where I'm pointing at. Ours Suppressor Max with the permeability enhancer sodium caprate, blood levels are higher at hour 6 than they are at hour 2. So it's really the only once a day berberine. But that'll, because like you said, ED, one of the biggest drivers of that is elevated blood sugar, which kills the microvasculature. And you got a microvascular system down there. That's how it works. It needs blood flow. High blood sugar kills that, kills testosterone levels. High body fat kills testosterone levels, and it increases estrogen levels. So everything you get as you age is you get more, estrogen, lower testosterone, less blood flow to your ding dong, and so you want TRT, like a Suppressor Max berberine product, and then HGH is a great addition. It's just the most expensive one, but that at a proper dose also you'll just feel better. But it's not the miracle that people talk about. TRT is.
Is it legal here in Michigan?
I mean,
Do they have like regulations?
I think Michigan is a pretty open.
Like I'm talking about legal.
Yeah, I'm worried. Well, because everyone, when the TRT clinics were owned by physicians, I was like, this is awesome. What a beautiful world we live in. Because I work with Merrick Health, and they're
it's a great company.
Oh, yeah, but now you got guys named Bob. Now you don't have an MD. They don't have a degree, period, and they're opening these clinics. And so I really worry, like,
that happens in Florida a lot.
they're going to crack down. Man.
And they elevated I think it's like drug. It's like similar as like was it the
So
drug,
in certain states. I mean, I think federally it's like a drug type 2. I think of
type 2, yes, type 2 drug. Yes,
I forget how DEA categorized it, but that's
yeah. And so they're gonna kill it. They're gonna ruin, which really sucks, because probably one of the best things that the nation as a whole could do at lowering healthcare costs is TRT clinics, HRT clinics. Because in a proper testosterone range, you're going to be on less medication.
And would you say that's like the most popular? I mean, obviously, anti-aging drug too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
TRT is. Yeah,
you want to, if you like, whether or not you're whether or not you're increasing the length of your telomeres or like all the things involved. As far as mentally, I feel young again. Nothing will do that like TRT.
Even if, like, let's say some guys have families that have prostate issues or prostate history. How relative is that to like TRT?
Well, that's an easy fix, and one of the best fixes for that is one of the other best drugs, period, which would be like Cialis. Low dose Cialis is great for prostate, great for blood pressure, which then in turn is good for your kidneys and is good for blood flow. So yeah, that's like another one. So prostate
instead of TRT or with the TRT?
With a TRT, because TRT can, any stimulant or any androgen, prostate is, it's a simple view. It's a male thing. So any male things you add are going to probably.
Well, I ask those questions because sometimes people on our podcast are like, "Why are you asking those questions?" Because a lot of our viewers are very educated, right? So
yeah, for sure.
And they'll ask like, "Oh, sure, you know that, Ed?" But no, sometimes people in the public don't know those answers.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to know like what we are.
When you say Cialis, when you say Cialis, you mean like take it like and cut up the pill in Cialis and
5 milligrams a day is an incredible prostate medication, a solid blood pressure medication, and the best ED medication. And there's a lot of weird, it's just like, if you look at the research data and all the studies of like Viagra and Cialis and that whole like class of medications, like, I'm surprised they didn't pursue this more, but if you look, there's clear evidence that it's an anxiolytic. People take it and report lower anxiety. That was like one of the top. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Any of those. Yeah. And they never marketed it that way. But yeah.
So even if you're not going to have sex, you still should take it.
Yeah. Well, you might get some anxiety when you got this. when you're walking around fully parsed up and you got nothing to do with it.
We always talk about Cialis on our podcast as a pre-workout.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's another. That's another use. It's a great product. No, like, if you're using it, like the clinical dose for ED is like 25 or 30 milligrams. So like, but 5 milligrams a day, yeah, great pre-workout, great blood flow. It's going to lower your blood pressure. It can in turn improve like your blood sugar levels. Because you can imagine, like, you dilate your blood. And if you have like my daughter's a type 1 diabetic, if you have if you get out of the shower, you take a really hot shower, you might get low blood sugar. Why? Because that hot shower warms you up so your body dilates all your blood vessels. Now suddenly you have all this extra surface area in the blood to transfer nutrients. And so you will get a better transfer of blood sugar to the tissues. And so like the diabetic, like if she takes a little too much insulin where she'd be normal otherwise, if she takes a really hot shower, the blood vessels dilate, all that surface area, there's way better glucose transfer. Well, you get that with low dose Cialis. So like it's not going to make you a non-diabetic, but if you got mildly elevated blood sugar and you can increase the surface area that your body's able to transfer sugar from the blood, it'll help it a little bit.
So what do you think about guys like, for example, like Dennis Wolf, right? They've competed as mass monster level. Now they're retired. They slimmed down a lot.
Yeah, I could not respect him more.
Yeah. Dexter Jackson too.
Yeah, I could so much respect for that because it's hard. Because I don't think people realize the hardest thing about leaving bodybuilding is not losing the size. It's that's your identity.
To be that.
That's the only thing people. That's like changing your name. I mean, that's who you are. So you built this life where this is who you are. Everyone who you've ever met and everyone you come in contact with and all your family, they know this person. It'd be like someone who, like, if you were like Eddie Van Halen, and then you got to age 40 and you just couldn't ever play the guitar again. It's hard, And they were like, I know you want to, but every time you play that guitar, you're going to shorten your life, And it's like, but this is the only thing. This is my life.
But they made a decision for their health, I think, right?
Yeah, and both those guys, and they did it great because they didn't, like, some guys leave the sport and just go the opposite route, eat like crap and get fat and chubby. But like, so for like Dennis Wolf to still be ripped, and I really respect that because I can tell you, it's easy to go to the gym when you're on every compound there is and you're strong.
It's easier that way.
No, because it's like, let's go see how much weight I can lift. It's a lot harder to go in and be like, you know what, I'm going to be fit today.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's what I'm trying to do. And I don't look forward to my workouts. I used to go to, like, now I have things like I want to get a certain number of pull-ups because, I was always so heavy, it's hard to move my body through space. And I really like the option now of maybe I want to do a rock climbing thing at some point. I need to be able to do that. I couldn't do that at 300 pounds. But doing pull-ups isn't as fun as deadlifting 700 pounds, And I don't even want to deadlift 700 pounds anymore because I don't want to deadlift period because I'm not strong. It gets me out of breath. It's hard and I'm weak. So it's a lot harder to stay motivated to go to the gym for health. My wife used to joke about that because when I stopped competing, she's like, well, just go, you just keep doing what you're doing, but do it for healthy. I'm like, no one wants to work out to be healthy. You want to work out to be huge.
So, Justin, anything we can get from you on the predictions? Arnold is still, 10 weeks away or so, but any predictions from you?
Well, I couldn't go to sleep tonight if I didn't say Brandon Curry. I think it's obvious if Samson's in shape, he's tough to beat. Hottie's not doing it, right?
Not as of right now.
Is Derek signed up for it?
Yes.
Derek and Andrew Jack.
Oh, man. If we didn't have to pose, Andrew Jack would walk. Have you seen a guy standing in the gym? You think that's a dinosaur.
Yeah. We saw him backstage. I'm like, there's no way this guy's losing. But, that's just our eyes looking at him.
He's not a bad poser either, but and he looks amazing, period. But something happened. It's kind of like Paul Dillette. When he's just standing there, you're like, that's not a human. Who brought the cyborg in?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
And I think he has tremendous potential too.
Yeah, it's just.
And do you know he literally got his pro card like in 2020?
Yeah.
He started bodybuilding a year prior.
Yeah, he's like brand new. Yeah, most guys haven't even competed yet. Most guys are like, I think I'm going to do my first show where he's like, I want to win the Olympia.
It's insane.
But I think Derek, for me, what I know Derek could, based on what his off-season look is, I know if that off-season look transferred to a perfect prep or perfect peak, that's a look that's just.
He looks like he put on a lot of mass. Like we saw, actually, we were just the other day we were talking to Victor.
His back is
looking at the footage,
so big.
It's way bigger, yeah.
But just something happens. His legs are really. It looks like his legs are really tough to dial in. And it was the same at 212 because he's had these massive legs in the off season.
Who's training him now? Who's coaching him?
Because Honey left, right?
Yeah, I think he's got like a friend or something. Something weird I've heard. Yeah, I don't know. I would love. He's one of my three, as you can tell, because I keep talking about him. I would love to work with him because I feel like, with Hani, Hani pretty much nailed it. But who he was working with before Hani, you could see he was like hit or miss.
Right.
And then you can see what a good coach did for him. I would love, because him probably peaked where his legs are, because he's got massive legs in the off season. And something happens, either they are flat and shredded, or they're really watery. And, yeah. But he'll be. I mean, God, it's a great Arnold. I mean, when was the last time there was an Arnold like that?
Yeah, Patrick Moore's making a comeback.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
There's a lot of people on there, man.
I didn't even see. I didn't see the list.
There's a lot. It's a stacked lineup. So I mean, obviously, it's going to be a big Arnold this year, and Columbus always
Justin
has
Rodriguez.
Justin
Oh
Rodriguez.
yeah, he's good on point. Yeah.
Akeem Williams.
Oh, we can about Akeem Williams actually.
Man, that dude was blessed with 99% of the genetic jackpot, but he was given thick skin and incredibly dark skin. Because you think, well, he can't be too dark. It's bodybuilding, but I think he's so dark that some of the light reflection is lost, and his skin is thick, and you can't do anything about it. Because that guy has been shredded, but that thick skin and dark complexion, it doesn't always show through. It's hard. Yeah, I mean,
I actually interviewed him and he brought that up. I think he brought it up saying that he needs to it's not, it depends on lighting and it's just
yeah. So if he gets in at a show that has like the Grand Prix over in Europe in 1999, or like some of the old Ironman lighting, you'd be like, that's Mr. Olympia. But the modern lighting is just.
What do you think about? I mean, I keep hearing this. So like, there's so much debate about the Olympia lighting and the Arnold lighting, and it's like the fans are always complaining about the way the stage looks, especially during the broadcast.
Yeah, well, because they're not doing the lighting to make the bodybuilders look good. They're doing the lighting to make them obvious, like.
To look good on broadcast and for judges.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's just what it is. Like those old pictures of Arnold, like the pumping iron with that overhead lighting. Guys in lighting like that today wouldn't even look human. You would be like, I'm never working out again.
Right, but talking to the promoters, like they saying that the backstage needs to reflect all the sponsors. That's how they make the money.
Yeah, so you have all that breakup, and as a competitor, you can get hit or miss with that. If I have a rounded logo and it's like this, and you're hitting a pose and your leg is right next to it, and that's
definitely
your eyes kind of like it's hard. Yeah, there used to be an old Animal ad actually, where there's a guy standing. He was an amateur bodybuilder wearing that same ripped up shirt and jeans that they made everyone wear, but his legs are right in front of a weight stack where there's a 45-pound plate behind him, and if you look, your brain knows that 45-pound plate is his leg, but at first glance, it's like, that guy's leg looks like that. And they ran that ad for 20 years for that reason. And the same thing, and if I get behind something, if someone's logo is like that, like convex, and my leg's behind that, in front of that, my leg now looks flat. Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And that ad, same, and the corner lighting, so you have sponsors on one side of your body, black on one side of your body. You don't look balanced anymore.
Yeah, it's challenging for sure. And that's something that we were doing this Olympia project right now. We were talking to the whole team about this. How do you make everybody happy? The people in the audience, the judges, and the fans at home. It's so challenging.
Yeah, and then it's at the end of the day, it's a business, so you got to make the money happy. Because the fans pay obviously, but they're going to pay either way. Sponsors aren't going to pay either.
Yeah, and the prize money keeps going up, right? So I mean, it's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's hard to complain. There's more money in the industry there used to be no money in the industry. Your hope and dream was to get a contract with Weider that barely allowed you to feed yourself. Where now, like, what is Bumstead making? Like, I can't even imagine, but I know what I monetize for my stuff, and he gets more followers in a day than I have total.
Yeah. He did really well with that with the Team Raw. I'm sure he does really well. Yeah. I mean, now that he's retired, of course, I'm sure things will change.
What has he got, like 30 million followers?
Yeah.
You get one follower to buy one clothing item from you ever. That's $90 million in lifetime revenue.
Right. So
you don't need much. You don't need high impact. You need if over the next 30 years, every follower buys one item from me ever, that's $100 million.
It's crazy.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for having us here in your home, in your studio. I really appreciate it, man. And Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too. Merry Christmas too, man. Had Kwanzaa, whatever.
Everything.
Hanukkah. What else is there?
Yeah, it's great to be here, and we're looking forward to doing a lot more with you. Obviously, people are going to be tuned in for not only your expertise, but I know our readers are going to be very interested in learning more about Troponin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, man.